What's the whole big picture like? What's the whole thing becoming like? Nigeria is an oil-driven country. I'm a kind of person I work with a lot of data every day. And I found that 70% of Nigeria revenue is from oil. In fact, the federal government of Nigeria cannot pay salaries, quote me anyway, without the oil revenue. The all money Nigeria makes from oil goes into federal government paying salaries, goes into running expenditure of government. Nothing is used in building roads, everything is left to debt. So we borrow to do almost everything you see around. But it can be better than that. Everybody's talking about, but the next big, which I call my own gospel. I'm always very funny. If you go to my Twitter page, I say, I'm doing God's work, I'm in the path of angels, basically, because I believe BudgIT is my own gospel. This is what God has called me to do. So I'm thinking, how do we make complex things more simpler? How do we tell people the government budget is so difficult to read, it's so difficult to understand? How do we compress it into a single sheet, into infographic, things that can make it more interesting for people? So basically, this is what I do. I take budgets, I take data, I take government reports, and I build them into simple infographics. And we're connected to people, we're talking to people about it. But I'm just this very small slice out of this. And I just want to motivate you about what you should also be thinking about. I was working in a bank before I left my banking job to strictly focus on this. And it's been mind-blowing and at the same time rewarding for me. But because so that very soon you will become a graduate, you definitely, some of you are going to leave it. And the truth about it, the jobs are not even out there. I can say out of 10 graduates in Nigeria, possibly maybe 2 get a good job within the first 1 year. It's really tough out there. I'm a graduate, I have a startup. Every day I keep getting, I find friends, families are even more present. Can you help me get this person a job? Can you just employ? I said, I don't have vacancies. I don't have resources to pay people to do the job. I can't hire people to sit down. The jobs are no longer there, and we need to begin to ask questions. What do we do after school? I found out some very small stats to show that technology is becoming more powerful, and this is the space we have to belong. I tried to put a question mark on my own name because it's not defined yet. But you can find out that people like Bill Gates have $66 billion. Just last week, it was confirmed that this is the richest man in the world. And all he has ever done, basically, is technology. He's worked on building an amazing empire called Microsoft that is putting PC almost on every table in the world. And you can, Larry Ellison, Oracle, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Sergey Brin, Google, Larry Page, Google, Michael Dell, Mark Zuckerberg, and Olusegun Onígbìndé, And these guys have so much money, And Nigerian money is just $30 billion, like close to 4.8 trillion naira every year. That's the entire money with the whole federal government as big as it seems. It's even half of the whole size of the wealth of Mr. Bill Gates. So we begin to clearly understand that within the power of technology, we can create wealth, we can make change happen, we can make things more better. I will introduce you to what I call the new establishment. There's what we call the old establishment, and it's very, very clear to me what I call the old establishment. The old establishment is resource-driven. It's a very defeatist mentality. All it's in the ground, and some young boys come up and say, hey, we have one in the ground, and so this is our own father's land, we are Ijo, we are Ishekiri, and they begin to mount toll gates and to collect rent, and it becomes so messy, it becomes so violent. It was like that in the past. America had to go to a war because of cotton. People had to fight in Newcastle because of coal. And when you see a resource there, people begin to mine what they did not sweat for. You find people begin to cause anarchy, people begin to cause violence. But see where people work within their brains, do the best they could do to build things out. You find that's the toughest part to go. And I call this one the new establishment. You see names here. Some of you might have heard about Jumia, Konga, BudgIT, Deal Day, Iroko, Mali, Pledge 51. The minimum, you see people here hiring people, adding their own part to this ecosystem of the country, making enterprise work for the country. And look at jobs here. So you have a lot of jobs here. And this is how you can go to spark.ng. It's a website. It's owned by one amazing guy called Jason Njoku. He founded Iroko TV, and he's investing in a lot of companies, right? A lot of startups, gives them like close 8 to 10 million naira to begin. And this is the portfolio of how many people work in those companies. So it's not like real people work here, no? People are getting fed, people are running a sustainable means of living via technology, and you also need to be in that space. So when I go outside and see people doing innovation lounge, bush parrot, this doctor's hub, this and that, I say this is smart, this is interesting, because this is tending to the new establishment which I am part of. I will ask you today, what is your own excuse? Why would you not do this? Why would you not sit up and say, I have this brilliant idea and I can fix technology? You say, oh, I don't have the space to work. Oh, there's no power. Oh, there's no that. If you watch the Paint documentary, you will find people talking in a space called co-creation. That is where I work. I don't pay for a generator. I don't pay for fuel. I don't pay for internet. I just pay for an annual subscription fee. I have my table. I have my 3 staffs there. We sit by that table, by the corner of the table, and we work. And I have a guest who see me, and we take him to the room, and we talk to him. And that is how it's becoming the survival now. Then you say you don't have money. Oh, I don't have money. But there's people in Lagos, they say there's a Lagos Angel Network. They're even coming up all around and say, even Spark NG I talked to you about. They're going to fund ideas that are making sense, that have opportunities to scale in society. And the only problem you might have to think is, oh, where is my idea? What can I basically do? What can I do to make this change happen? So I will present to you my own 5 types of tech ideas you can think about. And we'll look at it together. And I say 5. Where do tech ideas come from? How can you begin to think through what you should be doing? And number 1, I call it Aggregate. So look at this. These are all startups in Lagos. Some are in Ibadan, but these are majorly in Lagos. Hello Food. So someone has a lot of canteens in whole AU. And basically someone just sits in Amphi and wants to eat. And he has a mobile app and says, basically I can just look for one errand boy that will bring the food from you from maybe New Hostel and bring the food to you in Amphi for free for a particular fee. Someone's aggregating restaurants, someone's aggregating taxis, someone's aggregating bus tickets, someone's aggregating jobs, someone's aggregating deals, what you call subscription deals. People are bringing those in the offline segment. They're bringing them together to a particular spot and say, come and sell through my platform. That is power of building something. So it was food, it was restaurant, it could be anything else. You could say you want to aggregate even those that do makeups. Right? I have a good friend here who likes makeup things, You say, I want to do makeups and I want to aggregate everybody doing makeups and I want to bring them to a single spot. And this is what I want to make my own platform and technology. And in that space, you find a way to monetize and take your own magic. Then you have Tell. How many of you know about omojua.com? Some of you are here. Omojua.com. You know about Linda Ikeji. You know about Bella Niger. I've tried to advertise on Linda Ikeji and the fee is really, really mind-blowing. But this is some people that sell 2 things, I tell people you can only sell 2 things in this world. You can only sell vanity and necessity. Someone even told me that even vanity is even necessity. People talk gossip. People just talk stories they outsource from online. And they make a lot of millions from it. And people sit down and say, oh, this is whole political stuff. Nigeria is on the threshold of trouble. And we curate it into a blog. Some people say, this is how it could be done. They curate it to a blog. And it's become so amazing. Have you followed Omojua and you find the guy tweeting hashtag MTN football? Anybody feels that is free? No. Basically, you begin to think that no matter how you're trying to curate a platform, gather traffic, possibly there will be a way to monetize from it. So there's OTech bit. Someone could take technology. So you did nuclear science in this space, and you say, okay, I want to start a blog on nuclear science. Okay, I want to start a blog on home economics. I want to teach people how to cook food. And basically, that's where my own platform from. And one day we're looking for someone who's going to teach us on TV how to make food, then we call you. We're looking for a consultant who's going to teach us culinary skills, we're calling you. Because that's the way you build a technology platform. So you could tell people, and you could become that expert on that subject matter. And before you know, people start taking a lot of reference back to your space. The next thing I tell you is curate. This is basically the space I find myself believing. Budget is difficult, so I come as a guy that makes it simple. I make it accessible. A lot of documents are flashing away. So there's a great guy called Resource that you can write that down. He has a whole lot of chunk of documents. He will scan the whole entire net, take this report, and he's building to a simple repository and bring all these reports together. The same way with Wikipedia, you take scam mails from everywhere in the world and you put them on a single repository. And also about oil and energy, people are beginning to say, oh, you don't have time to learn that thing. You don't have time to be searching over Google. Let's curate it for you. Let's put it on a single space for you. Let's make it simple for you. So what is that difficult thing you find you can make simple for people? You've done statistics in school and it makes it difficult for people to analyze data. what is that simple thing that you can build for people? The network. You could bring people up together, bring them on a single space, network them. Some of you, if you attend Christ Embassy, you know about UCOS. A lot of people, I'm sure, I don't use it, but I know a lot of people used to go, basically, and that's the part. To go, I'm sure when it will sell, it will not be less than $1 billion, basically. Not because those guys have built something overly amazing, but because they've garnered so much traffic, because they understand the power of people to use it. The next thing is about policy engine. So you're bringing people together on a single space. Policy engine is trying to bring policy researchers together, people who have a deep down understanding of subject matter. And that's how they start their own technology. And in the next 2, 3, 4 months, they're selling out. There's a Yahoo bought a company last week, or is it not this week, Tumblr, for $1 billion, $1 billion is how much? It's worth 130 billion. How much does the whole Nigeria share in a whole month? It's like even $4 billion. So just one single company was bought for $1 billion. And you begin to understand clearly how technology is driving. 5, Migrate. So I told you about Aggregate. I told you about Curate. I told you about Tell. I told you. But now this is Migrate. You could even be selling it yourself. So basically you don't need people. You could say, okay, Jumia would take things, have his own store, sell online to people. The local guy is so smart, he buys the copyright, the rights of those CDs, he puts it on his platform, and those are abroad who have amazing bandwidth to watch movies. They begin to watch movies, they begin to do subscription, he begins to pay for them, and basically it's been a business model and some ways to monetize. So same way with Tracklist, same way with Konga. People are now even beginning to take things from the offline system. What I mean offline is those that don't have access to internet, and put them in a store and begin to sell. And that's another way to drive technology. Almost getting through. And basically next, and which is problem I always have with entrepreneurs. People would ask me 10 times over when I talk to them about budget. They will say, Seun Onigbinde, how are you going to make money from budget? How are you going to sustain on this? And I keep telling them, see, why don't you just stop bothering me about money? Why don't you ask me, how much am I adding value to people? How much am I making the budget simpler to people? I will tell you 10 ways or 20 other ways we could have made money from this. We could be consultants, development partners. We could be the guy doing the analysis of the budget for corporate establishments. We could be the guy building smart graphics for people to understand. I will tell you how many ways we could make this. But firstly, we've not bothered about that. The only thing we've bothered about is because we want to deliver value. Examples is what you see at the innovation box there. A lot of people, not because they've made a ton of $1 million from what they are doing, but because they believe first is deliver value, gain traction, and basically you now begin to think, how do I make something sustainable out of this? And that's how the whole tech business is run. And finally, I'm just my own battle cry, my own call to you folks. The seed. It's not so difficult to learn. I did engineering in school, University of Agriculture, Abbeykuta. I don't know anything about budget. I don't know anything about data. When I left school, it was just a chance to work in the bank for like 4 years before I left. And amazingly, I jumped into the world of data, and I've left there to start my own business on a data sharing platform. But interestingly, it's because I've learned to do some things differently. Trying to find the skill, trying to use Google better, trying to be so passionate about a problem in the country, and make sure that these things begin to translate to value, and possibly one day we make money. So that one day I'll also say, hey, I want to sell budget for $1 billion. And it's my own question now, can you see that big picture? Can you stop bothering about value? Stop bothering about money, about the short-term things we could do now? Focus on delivering a long-term thing. Focus on delivering value for folks. Focus on building what is most amazing for people around the world to use. And at the end of the day, money that you would need, really need, would come to you. Thank you very much.